Here we have verse 35 of the 9th chapter of the Gospel of John. We've just reached the culmination of the interrogation between the religious leaders on the one hand and a man who was miraculously healed of the condition of having been born blind by Jesus on the other. And of course, the religious leaders become so frustrated with this man because they can't seem to poke a hole into the case that he's making on behalf of Jesus, and yet he is obviously just an ordinary guy of no particular significant or impressive education, and these religious elites are unable to more or less trap him in his own words. And finally, in frustration, they just boot him out, presumably meaning boot him out of the synagogue, boot him out of the social interaction that is connected to the synagogue. And that's quite a blow, of course, to this man, but not nearly as much a negative development as was the positive one that he has been restored with his sight. He's had an experience that was never his from the time he was born. Well, now later Jesus finds him, and that's what we have here. So akusen. This is from akuo, I hear, third person singular, aorist, active indicative. Jesus heard. No indication he heard this by some supernatural means. He probably just heard it, as it were, on the street, because this would have been, at least to some degree, a significant event that would have had some publicity, presumably. So we have Jesus, subject to the verb, Jesus heard, hoti, connective, that, exebalan. This is from ekbalo. It's the same word used previously, to cast out. This is, of course, the third person plural, aorist active indicative. He heard that. They cast him, auton, the direct object, accusative masculine, singular. They cast him, exo, indeclinable adverb, out. So Jesus heard that they cast him out, kai, and the connective here, and huron. This is the aorist active participle, masculine singular nominative. So finding him is the idea. Participles in Greek, usually the best way to render them initially is just add an ing to the verb. So heurisko is the verb, I find, and so we simply make it finding. It's in the nominative because it is associated with Jesus, who's the subject here, so it's a nominative participle, in a sense, modifying Jesus, finding him, auton, the object of huron, finding him, apen. This is the third person singular, aorist active indicative from leo, second aorist, and said. And then here's the question, su, making this emphatic, su pistues. Pistuo, I believe. This is the second person singular, present active indicative, so you believe. Emphasis here, ace, into, takes the accusative, ton huion, into ton, the accusative article, and huion, the word for son. You believe in or into the son, to anthropu, of man. So the genitive of both of these, indicating a question now, do you believe, or do you believe in the Son of Man? The very fact that the word su is there indicates a kind of emphasis, do you believe, as opposed to others who obviously don't believe, in particular the religious leaders who cast you out. What's the state of your heart? Do you believe in the Son of Man? He doesn't say here in the Son of God, although it's sometimes rendered that way, but the Son of Man. And it may, of course, once again be an allusion to that Son of Man character, famously mentioned in the Old Testament, and certainly a current idea in popular apocryphal Jewish literature of the day. This great Son of Man character who would come as a kind of glorious judge figure in the age of Messiah. So that may be at the point that Jesus is asking the question, do you believe in the Son of Man? Do you believe in this one? And of course, the man's response becomes one of the classic biblical texts in connection with this entire matter. So we'll come to that soon enough.